when it comes to claiming your power. Now, when it comes to the, opposite sex, is understanding. And when it comes to understanding, people don't want to listen, whether it's male or female, they don't want to listen. And if one person is speaking, the woman is speaking, the man is not he's half hearing what he wants to hear. Men are good at that. Well, some are good at just listening and picking up what they want to hear. And this is what you're saying. There's that miscommunication. There's that disconnect. Because if you're not fully paying attention, and we've often talked about this, that you need to be fully present. You fully need to be understanding your partner. So claiming back your power, especially when, it's not easy when that energy is not fully accepted or not fully appreciated. So how can people begin? What do they need to do in order to change the relationship, in order to change the circumstances? What do people need to do? People that are watching, what can they do right now to change?
Well, the most important thing is that all of us like to fake. We like to pretend. We like to be pretty. We don't like to be vulnerable. We don't like to, show our bad sides. Let's call it like that. So what happens is that a lot of years we're basically sweeping problems underneath the rug, right? So I always give this analogy, right? If you're an alcoholic, you need to literally, step number one is, I am addicted. That's a step one, like, okay, this is the issue. Then you can kind of step onto your recovery path, right? So the same thing goes with life, understanding, like really getting clarity of where your blockages are, where your potentials are, because then you have this, I'll just call it like even more tangible, something that you can grab onto and maybe understand with your mind. Okay, this is why, it's happening. This is what I need to pay attention to. But we just kind of continue living our life, crossing our fingers, hoping we make it, but we don't even know like what what we have. Like another analogy I'd like to say, let's say that you're 18 years old and your parents, like my parents gave me a car. Obviously I'm amazed, yes, awesome car, I just want to go drive. But then later on, I realized that I have to make sure that, it's well maintained, that I check the oil, obviously to put gas, like just to know the basic stuff of how a car works so I can maintain it, so I can either have it for a long time or actually go on a long road and get there without issues.
Right.
So now us as souls coming into our bodies, nobody gives us that. Nobody gives us a manual
GPS
of how to, be in a relationship or how to be. Yes, there's nothing, right? There's like nothing. We focus on stuff that are not really that important. So we go throughout life and realize that it's not just what we want or how ambitious we are or what we want to achieve, but like you were saying, there's these predispositions that are literally driving you without you knowing that you've been driven. So I would always say it starts to understand that you then have the clarity of how to overcome, how to change, how to adjust, and how to, in a way, take control of you and your life. Because we just love to point fingers and blame others and situations and everything, but we need to understand, and we really need to, we need to understand that, again, like you said, everything happens for a reason. Like when you said, how your soul basically decided which kind of like struggles you're going to go through, and not because you want to, have a complicated life, or because you had in mind that you're gonna, that you came to this world and like, I'm gonna get divorced 3 times and that's my plan. Nobody has that plan, right?
No, we don't come up with a plan.
Again, there's this, but there's this like inner drive that is just programming you on that path. And now first get to understand that programming. So then you can be like, you know what? Let me change it. I want to live it differently. I want to, like, it would be very basic. If you want to, like, basic example, if you want to be an architect, like, you can't miss like math, right? You can't be an architect without taking math class. So even though when you're architect, you're not focusing on the plus and the sum and the minus. Oh my God, how does math work? You're not focusing on that because you're on a higher level there, right? But you can't just skip that. If that kind of
it's a prerequisite, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that is so good because you know, oftentimes, and I've experienced this too, is like, you know, we get into a relationship and we may not like that particular trait in that individual, and we say, okay, well, you know what, maybe I don't like this about that person, and I'm just gonna let them go. You let them go, but you find someone else, and it's the same patterns. It's the same patterns that we keep repeating over and over again. But that comes down to your paradigms, right? Your limiting beliefs about you. So we need to change. Would you say at that moment, if you're not satisfied in that one relationship and you're looking, oh, maybe elsewhere, it might be a better roses, that guy might be a great person. So would you say we need to look within, do a lot of inner work, a lot of inner cleansing to really attract the people that we want? And also, I believe also that we need to know the self-worth so that we don't go around chasing people. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, obviously self-worth, self-respect, and you know, everything with you is just so important because just like, you know, my story, for example, I allowed myself to go in my first marriage because there was something misaligned within me. And this is not the point of like discovering what all specific traumas that I had and why this is not aligned and why, because we all have that. The point is to realize that, you know, all this doesn't serve me. All this comes from ego. All this comes from me building up my walls based on the experience, based on what my soul decided to be in, and the challenges that my soul wants to experience. And then say, okay, but this doesn't serve me. So now how can I, you know, find that alignment within myself first? And like you said, make sure that you have proper values, make sure that you have boundaries in place. And then the most difficult part within then the relationship is actually sticking to that thing. Because I know the patterns that I had is, you know, like I can love, I see the good in everyone. I can, you know, be with like real quote unquote bad person, but I'll still see, you know, the plus side. I am that kind of a person. But even though I can see, you know, and this is literally my story. So I saw all the good stuff in my first husband, but I still allowed myself to completely diminish and, you know, prioritize that person instead of prioritizing me. So a part of what I coach, obviously so much, connected with self-love, self-respect, understanding that everything with you is perfect, even though it's not perfect. But the way you are, it's the way you're supposed to be. And then this is just the starting line. So knowing that there's always better, you can always be better. And that's a process. And it's never, you know, it never really stops. It's never you get to a certain level and I'm like, oh, I'm done. I got to the biggest, tallest mountain and that I don't have anything else to do.
It's always a journey.
So it's a
journey.
It's a journey, and it's an ongoing journey. And more journey. You now, if I do this in frequency or in energy, it's literally more you elevate your frequency, more you elevate your positivity and how your trust and your gratitude and your belief, and you grow and basically condense it, then literally you attract more kind of situations, people, love, whatever, better situations, because everything outside of you, you know, again, how much money you're making or how your physical body is or how, what kind of, you know, people you have in your life, they're just showing you what you need to work on. So relationship, it's an amazing field, an amazing area in your life that can either completely destroy you or elevates you enormously, because they call it projecting. So you consistently project things on your spouse. But that spouse is literally just trying to energetically show you the stuff that you need to work on. So more you're open to that development and growth, and more you do that change, then you see that even the change happens within the spouse, within your kids, and with life, and with body, and with money, and with everything.
And isn't
And
that
that's the
beautiful?
basic of energy. I'll call it laws of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
It's magical. And when you see that, and when you put it into practice just a little bit, and then you're like, oh my God, like you're really, and then that's why we call those miracles, because literally there's no such thing as miracle. It's just you understanding how 1 and 2 and 3, events are connected. So you get to the miracle. Even, if we're talking about naturally healing, or, I don't know, getting all that money or whatever it is, but there's a sequence of events that got you to the result. And a lot of people, I'll say majority of people, don't understand how things are connected. So they don't understand the sequence, and they call it a miracle, and they wing it, and they hope, and they pray. But if you actually know the sequence, and then you work on that sequence, and you practice that sequence, imagine you're just, filing, you're refining everything that you can do in life.
Exactly. And then the possibilities become endless. It's just limitless as to what you can have, what you can achieve, just by shifting your mindset, but also shifting your energy, your vibration within.